My warm welcome to all the Sattva enthusiasts and all the holy souls those who are watching us today. Warm welcome to all the speakers for taking out time, and special thanks to Nitya School of Planning and Architecture for making this program possible. Today's program is about holistic wellness and it is completely focused on mental and physical wellness today. So, yes, today we are going to discuss thoughts and views from the industry speakers, best of the industry speakers, those who have made their mark in the mental and physical wellness stream. And today's program is being organized in association with Sattva Nation and Premjan Memorial Trust. Sattva Nation is a holistic wellness program, and Sattva represents purity, Sattva represents wisdom. And at Sattva Nation, we believe that all human beings are the best creation of God. We just have to recognize our potential and work towards becoming our best selves, not trying to copy anybody, not getting into the rat race of competition, just trying to become the better version of our own self. So Sattva represents uniqueness of each human being. And that's the goal of Sattva Nation. And Premjan Memorial Trust has been working for green and sustainable environment. And we are very thankful to Premchandji for creating, even founding Indian Green Building Council, which is working towards the green and sustainable practices. And Miss Payal Jain and myself, we both joined hands together from Sattva Nation and Premjan Memorial Trust to create an awareness campaign on pan-India level with all the institutions, universities, and colleges. And today we are beginning our college campaign with Nitya School of Architecture. So my special thanks to Nitya School of Architecture for taking this initiative forward and we are targeting youth for their mental and physical wellness. So I would request Professor Gayatri to share few words from Nitya School of Architecture.
Thank you so much, Preeti. A very good afternoon to all the prominent personalities, distinguished friends from the academia, industry peers. A very hearty, warm welcome to one and all. On behalf of the hosting institution, it's my pleasure to introduce Nitya School of Architecture, Planning and Design. We are a renowned institution under the Nitya Education Trust, Mangalore. The founder chairman of Nitya Education Trust and institutions is Justice late Shri K.S. Hegde, former Chief Justice of India. Nitya Education Trust has Nitya University and over 65 institutions, autonomous institutions, which include schools, hospitals, research centers, technical institutions, engineering institutions, satellite health centers, management institutions, architecture and planning, health science institutions, and science and commerce institutions are part of Nitya Education Trust. Nitya School of Architecture, Planning and Design was incepted in the year 2016-17. We offer two programs, BARC, a five-year degree program, and B-Plan, a 4-year degree program. A highlight of is that we are the only institutions to have B-Plan program in Karnataka, approved by AICT and affiliated to Visvesvaraya Technological University. And we are currently in the process of getting ITPI recognition. We are approved by Council of Architecture, New Delhi, All India Council for Technical Education, New Delhi, Institute of Town Planners, India, New Delhi, Government of Karnataka. We are affiliated to Visvesvaraya Technological University, Belgavi, Indian Institute of Architects, Mumbai. We at Nitya School of Architecture, Planning and Design are always thrilled and give us an immense pleasure to associate with Prem Jain Memorial Trust. As you know, Prem Jain Memorial Trust was set up in 2018 in the memory of Dr. Prem Jain, father of green buildings in India, with a mission to create, establish and maintain sustainability paradigm through education, recognition and nurturing of our present and future generations. With the prime focus on students, they build the foundation of society and programs that are curated and designed to inspire these young minds to become future torchbearers of sustainable living. Our association with PJMT started with Living Building Series, then World Green Building Week, and now with this very apt session, during this hard time, mental and physical wellness inspired by nature. The new realities of working from home, temporary unemployment, homeschooling of children, and lack of physical contact with other family members, friends, and colleagues have taken a toll on most people. Adapting to lifestyle changes such as these has made a major impact on the mental wellness, and people are struggling with related issues. We are living through a time where well being of both mind and body needs to be given utmost priority. Our affinity towards nature is genetic and deep rooted in evolution. Even by saying and doing nothing, we can learn so much from connecting to our natural surroundings. It gives us the perspective for healthier living, the motivation to carry on, and the energy to keep trying. As they say, the dirtier the feet, the happier the heart. Waiting to hear more thoughts from our speakers today, Mr. Anil Kandelwal, Chairman Yogic Secrets, Dr. Vipul Rastogi, neuropsychiatrist, Vedanta Hospital, Dr. Miki Mehta, global leading holistic health guru, Ms. Pavlin Gujral, actor, environment activist, and nutritionist. Very warm welcome to you all. Would like to take this opportunity to thank Ms. Preeti Singh, founder Sattva Nation, and Ms. Payal Jain, trustee Prem Jain Memorial Trust. Thank you so much to have us hosting this. Just a small introduction about Preeti, who comes from a stellar corporate background, coming from brands like Radio Mirchi and Jesubai Media, Economic Times, presently working as director with NAREDCO, Government of India's initiative, Young, Dynamic Driven. She made significant professional progress in her life at a very young age. Preeti has started Sattva Nation, a festival of holistic wellness with the purpose of spreading wellness in society and also helping youth to achieve the purpose of their life. Welcome, Preeti. And
thank you so much.
Ms. Payal Jain, founder trustee, Prem Jain Memorial Trust. Payal's journey in the fascinating world of haute couture has a humble beginning to launching her first book on fashion studies a few years ago, which is a pioneering effort in the academic field and will give an insight into the fashion world and serves as a knowledge bank for the students. This educational reference book, specially designed for 11th standard students for the CBSE curriculum, is a synthesis of her experiences and endeavors in this field. Like father, her journey continues as she is always ready to explore new avenues to be passed down to future generations. I would now request them to all tell us more about. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor Gayatri, for sharing your beautiful lines and for a lovely introduction for Ms. Payal Jain and myself. And I'm really glad that the Nitya School of Architecture has taken this initiative for us to achieve our purpose of creating an awareness in India's youth today, because they are the one who are going to create India as a better nation tomorrow. So it's very important for our youth to have a complete knowledge of how to maintain their physical wellness intact, at the same time being mentally fit as well. So starting the first speaker, I would like to welcome Dr. Miki Mehta. Dr. Miki Mehta, it's so kind of you that he has to cancel a lot of appointments for today's session, and I'm feeling really blissful to be having you today. It's amazing to have a legendary yoga guru, one person and many roles you play. And for last 4 decades, you have been serving the nation, creating and working towards holistic wellness. So would love to start with your quick introduction, sir. Dr. Miki Mehta completed 50 years of yoga on this 29th of August. When he turned 59-year-old and 39 years in the industry, so almost touching 4 decades. Dr. Miki Mehta is a leading global holistic health guru and a corporate life coach to Bollywood superstars, top politicians, and Indian multinationals, and several Miss Worlds and Miss Universe too. So that makes you an amazing personality to be addressing and talking to the youth, because when I came to know that you are 59, I still can't believe. So we are going to ask you a lot of tips and tricks in today's session, sir.
Yes, of course.
Yes. So Dr. Vicky also trained police, army, navy, and air force personnel, and honorary double doctorate in holistic health and wellness sciences from a Open International University for Complementary Medicines. Vicky Mehta has also won many awards and is the author of bestseller books of Shunyam Quotient. So many congratulations for release of your books, Shunyam Quotient and Lose Weight, Gain Shape. These are two books which are easily available online as well. Uh, Dr. Vicky Mehta is a speaker at Harvard University, IIMs and IITs, and held holistic health workshops globally. Recently, Dr. Vicky Mehta is appointed the Fit India Movement Champion by the Sports Authority of India. He is also part of the steering committee at the Indian Merchant Chamber. The author, poet, philosopher, the brand, the institution, the legendary Dr. Vicky Mehta, who gets us energized, neutralized, optimized, maximized, and wellness revolutionized, and gets you Mickey Mice at the end of the day. So we look forward to be getting Mickey Mice today with you, sir. So to start a session beginning with you about yoga and meditation. Now today's topic is holistic wellness, physical fitness and mental wellness inspired by nature. So how yoga helps us getting not only physically fit but also getting our mental quotient intact.
Very quickly. So there are Maharathis and Diggajas on this board with me sharing the platform. Anil Khandelwal ji, Pranam. Rastogi ji, Pranam. Payal Jain ji, Pranam. Dr. Gayatri ji, Pranam. And of course, you, Pranam. And thank you, the Jain Institute. So let me tell you on the onset that we as human beings, the very word being means not static and stationary. It means dynamic. It means in the flow. It means in the rhythm. And most importantly is that we are the rhythmic flowing beings of processes. And there are millions of processes happening even right here, right now, as we speak. So when I'm speaking to Preeti Singh and this board of wonderful people, so my stomach is digesting food, my eyes are looking at the screen, my ears are listening to the sound, my mind is metabolizing and processing the interpretation and perspectives. Okay, my endocrine system is working and secreting a lot of hormones at the same time. My nervous system is astute, sharp, and also strategizing as to what should come out next. And there are millions such things happening within me. Now, when these processes, we want them to be creative, productive, optimistic, be in the rhythm, be in the flow, wholesome, then we call that yoga. So yoga, I think, in a nutshell, I would say yoga also deals with your mind and makes mind your medicine. So when living becomes a sin, yoga becomes medicine. When life becomes a sin, yoga becomes medicine. I'll tell you how. So yoga is a confluence of energies of yin and yang, Chandra Surya, Hatha, Surya Chandra, once again Shiva, Shakti, and of the opposites. So whenever there is confluence of energies, one could be more, one could be less, yoga balances, creates an equilibrium. So Samasthiti, Namaskaram, yoga. Now when you come in perfect balance, your opposites don't contradict. They are not in conflict. They complement each other. So yoga is established. So yoga is established by confluence of energies. So Ganga, Yamuna, and a new entity is born called Saraswati. So that's yoga.
Lovely.
Number two, yoga is the prefrontal consonance of our minds. So when we look at 7 billion minds, there is a prefrontal consonance. Like just now I'm looking at these 7-8 minds on the dais. So my mind is in consonance with them. I'm vibrating at the same frequency. So once again, that connect is yoga. Integration is yoga. Consolidation is yoga. Number three, I would say that when there is congruence of geometries, like your body is a geometry, your body is a sacred geometry, the cosmos is a geometry. So there are planets and there are suns and there are stars and there are moons and the movements. So when we get in congruence with those movements, when we do asanas, postures in poetry, the seat of awareness, the seed of awareness, we get in complete congruence with the sacred geometry of the world, and the lines dividing, which is our body, gets obliterated, and there is oneness, unison, wholeness, integration. You come alive. Yatha pinde tatha brahmande happens. Tattvamasi happens. Soham happens. Aham brahmasmi happens. Ritambara pragya happens. So that is about, now there is limbic. Now there is limbic resonance. So at the back of our brain, we are all deeply connected with the roots of our being. I mean, from the time we were animals to the time we were maybe trees, to the time we were birds, bees, and to the time we were just a speck of a chemical on the rim of a volcano called chemolitho-autotropic hypothermophi. Now, being that chemical to being a conscious human being today, we've come a long way. So a human being so conscious, supremely divine, and divinity is in principles, not in the person. So Krishna, Christ, Muhammad, Mahadev, Zarathustra, Buddha, they are all embodiments of divinity. They are epicenters and epitomes of divinity. And you and me are gods born in seed form. And we can become a complete tree, being called God of all the processes of creativity and productivity. And last but not the least, there is something very, very beautiful within us. There is a geometry, which I said. Now there is a geography. Geography of our centers, of our chakras, of our marma points, of our nervous system, of our brains, of our mind-gut axis. So the symmetry of energy of geometry. So yoga brings you into complete harmony of, to begin with, confluence of energies, then prefrontal consonance, then congruence, and then limbic resonance, and finally the geography of energy becomes stable. And this stability is brought upon by the element called Akasha. We are made of 5 elements. So when I say mind is medicine, so mind accesses these 5 elements in unison. In meditation, in yoga, so first element is water. 72% of us is water. Then 12% of earth. 12% of us is earth. Then 6%. 6% is air, 4% is fire, and 4%, I would say 6% is ether. All these things put together makes us a perfect geometry of yoga. So when living becomes a sin, which is imbalance, that is kama, krodha, lobha, moha, madha, maya, matsara. We get into yoga and Ayurveda. So yoga and Ayurveda becomes responsible for rasa, rakta, mausha, medha, ashti, maja, shukra, which neutralizes your 7 sins: pride, anger, lust, envy, gluttony, avarice, sloth. So mind becomes medicine, yoga becomes a panacea, and we can heal the world only with yoga and Ayurveda. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
That's an amazing definition of yoga from you, Dr. Miki Mehta. I would like to share something with you that in today's time, especially as far as youth is concerned, the other physical activity practices are getting more popular. The gym culture or Zumba practices, and the Western culture of getting fit, wherein yoga is our traditional way of body formation and the activity and the flow. Like you mentioned, we are made of 5 elements, 5 tattvas, and very beautifully you explained. So what is your take? Why, give us the reason why our youth should start practicing yoga from a very early age, and how this can benefit them in the long run.
So chitta vritti niroga, which means stillness and calmness of the mind, composure, collectedness, integration of the mind is the need of the hour for today's student. Our today's student is tomorrow's champion, tomorrow's visionary, tomorrow's leaders, tomorrow's heroes. So we have to bring in yoga in a very interesting fashion to our students today so that they don't go off, they don't go astray with smoking, drinking, drugs, okay, and psychiatric medicines to keep awake, psychiatric medicines to feel up. Yoga is good enough. Sattvic bhav, sattva nation is good enough. And with this sattvic bhav, I think we bring about a bhavna of transformation, reformation, and transmigration. So yoga is about transforming people and reforming people. So form, reform, transform. Yoga helps you to take shape. Now this is shaping not of the bodies, it is a shaping of characters and personalities. Characters and personalities. So when I do special programs of yoga with children and with college students, I work on building characters and personalities and I make it fun. You must give them legendary stories.
Yeah.
You must excite them. Don't make it boring. So while Zumba and aerobics is very hyper and makes you move hither thither with cacophony of music, it is the tod. Yoga is a jod.
Absolutely.
That is still continuing in the area of tanav, which means stress still continues with speed. Speed is death. Stability is life.
Absolutely.
So yoga does not generate excessive heat in the body, which makes you deplete energies. Yoga, in fact, generates energy just good enough for you to consume it moment to moment so that you can live forever. Ichha mrityu, ichha jivan, santhara, which means death has no right on life. Death is the culmination of diseases. Diseases are the culmination of your choices. So choose evolution over entropy. So choose yoga over the non-yogic way of life. And yoga can be really great fun. Go to gurus who make you laugh, who give you, inspire you from inside. And children will enjoy yoga. Yoga is not about doing circus. Yoga is about being in postures, stable. So Dhanur, when you do a Dhanur Asana, so we always look at arrow as the hero. No, arrow is never the hero. It is the bow which aligns. It is the bow which gives the trajectory, the impetus, the speed. It is the bow which hits the mark. So Dhanur Asana makes you focus. If you were to tell the children about these things, then children will get inspired. Then if you look at Chakrasana, Chakrasana gets your mind-gut axis in place, the gut gravity axis in place, your tailbone and the gravity in a line, and stability, which means, first of all, you struggle to hold. Then from discomfort, you get into comfort. So comes tolerance. Then from weakness comes inner strength. So you become resilient and tenacious. So patience, tolerance, resilience, and strength is what comes about with each asana as we live it. I will not use the word practice. You can be in practice and you can go out of practice.
Absolutely.
But when you live in yoga, you are conditioning in yoga. When you do conditioning yoga, yoga becomes a state, not a condition that keeps changing. So when living becomes a sin, which is an imbalance, yoga becomes medicine, mind becomes medicine. And when we say mindfulness in the Western culture, it's not really the same. Your mind should be empty of all the junk and filled with light of awareness. And that does not matter. So it's not full of light. It is filled with life and filled with light. And light does not matter. Light is pure awareness. So empty your mind and mind the emptiness is the message of Tao, is the message of Zen. Zen, Tao, Dhyan. So when Bodhidharma took Dhyan to China, Dhyan, they could not pronounce Dhya. So it became Zya, Zya, Zyan. and Dhyan became Zen.
Oh, so that
Stability
is
of the
also
mind,
yoga. Yeah.
equilibrium of the mind, everything is yoga. Tai Chi is yoga. So
Tai
Tai Chi is the balance of yin and yang. And the balance of yin and yang is hard but not harsh, soft but not yielding. You see the paradigm? Hard but not harsh, hard but not harsh, soft but not yielding. That is Tai Chi. Tai Chi.
I would just request if you could mute everyone.
यहाँ से ये छोटा कर देते हैं हम
Can
हाँ
we
यहाँ से छोटा कर देते हो
इससे
यहाँ
बड़ा
से छोटा
होना
कर
चाहिए नहीं हमेशा छोटा
बिल्कुल
Professor Gayatri, I would request if you could mute everyone except the speaker, please.
होता है जब ध्यान नहीं होता तो ऐसी गलतियां होती है
No,
और सबसे होती है मुझसे भी होती है मैं भी इंसान हूँ a man in flesh and blood it takes human man born to make mistakes we all make mistakes so Gayatri ji no worries whatsoever there is much a slip between the cup and the lip we all slip here and there that's what makes us human beings otherwise we would be gods.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mickey, for sharing such a beautiful definition and letting us know more deeper understanding of yoga and its posture. Here, I would like to share something that during our college times, I remember I used to be under tremendous pressure, but seeing today's competitive world, you know, there's so much of competition out there, and especially today we are addressing an architectural college, so I know the pressure what an architect goes through, you know, pursuing this degree. So they are under tremendous stress and pressure preparing their assignments and the studies. How does yoga and meditation practices help them to release that stress not only from their body but also from their mind? So can you please share with us the easiest way, the quick way, because I've seen people's reaction, you know, when we talk about meditation, they say, oh, hum koi Mahatma Guru nahi hai. So why people are so scared of meditation? So could you please
I'll tell you.
share the basic way which can be performed by all these young adults, all these, you know, young energies, and once they, you know, start meditating, not only they're physically fit, also mentally it relaxes them.
Okay. So let me tell you that yoga works like a pressure cooker. When the pressure in the cooker goes and grows to a point, siti bajti hai. So yoga mein, whenever you do any asana, okay, so there is a let go of the tensions and knots from the body, from the muscles. Yeah. So let's say you're doing a bhujangasana, kheri saans andar bhar ke, and then you let go. So yoga is about letting be. So be in the posture, and yoga is about letting go of the pressure. So posture, being in the posture, letting go of the pressure, so that you can peacefully sit. Yoga is about settling. Yoga is about anchoring. And yoga is not about hankering. So when you get into anchoring, hankering goes away. So yoga is about vairagya, detachment, vairagya, letting go, letting be, letting go. So let's say typically if you just teach your students Bhujangasana, and when you do Bhujangasana, you come like this up. And when you go up, you roll both your eyes and take them towards your mastish. Okay? And take them towards your mastish. And that at your Agyan Chakra, you point them inside like this. Shambhavi Mudra. You get into Shambhavi Mudra, then you roll your tongue upwards and touch it to the palate behind. You come into Khechari Mudra. When you come into that, your stress is gone. Your Khechari Mudra is like a candle flame. Your Bhujangasana is like the king cobra, but please kisi ko dasna mat. And in that Khechari Mudra and in the Shambhavi Mudra and in Bhujangasana, your mind becomes calm and sharp, both. It becomes calm and a balm, both. I mean the calming balm. It is a calming balm. And you become very astute. और यहाँ से फिर जो डिजाइन निकलेगी ना, अच्छी डिजाइन निकलेगी. और ऐसी डिजाइन निकलेगी कि क्रिएटिविटी की धारा बहेगी. सो धारा जो अंदर से बाहर बहेगी, वो राधा बन के फिर अंदर योग से आ जाएगी. और जो राधा बन के अंदर से बाहर बहेगी, वो धारा बन के फिर से अंदर आ जाएगी. So yog will get you in connect with the fractal design of this universe. And the fractal design is ever so sequential, I would say seamless design of constant expansion of forms. So if you see the difference between design here and the design 100 kilometers away, it will be different, but the change is very seamless.
Absolutely.
If you've seen Mumbai airport, the Mumbai airport, the ceilings from the smallest of triangles, which are not even to the biggest of triangles. So these are fractal designs of nature. If you see the leaves, if you see the branches, if you see the clouds, if you see the sky, nothing is standalone cut off. Everything is together, collected. So yoga gets you in that form. So once you come in Bhujangasana with Khechari Mudra, with Shambhavi Mudra, and then you get into Parvatasana and get into mountain position. Now mountain position gets you in stable. Parvat, stable. It's a pyramid. It's a prism. तो वहां पर स्थिरता, स्वयं में स्थित, स्वयं में उपस्थिति और स्वयं की उपस्थिति, स्वयं में स्थित, स्वयं में उपस्थित एंड स्वयं में उपस्थिति और स्वयं की उपस्थिति होना, होने देना और डिजाइन का निर्माण होना वहां से और विज्ञान का निर्माण होना एंड मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट स्वास्था, स्वास्था मीन्स स्वयं में आस्था एंड स्वास्था मीन्स स्वयं में आस्था एंड आस्था के साथ जो निकले सांस, सांस से जो बने स्वर, स्वर से जो बने सुर, सुर से जो बने संगीत, जिससे हम हो जाए तरंगित. तो ये योग की छोटी सी परिभाषा है और अगर आप आपके बच्चों को सिखाएंगे तो वो निर्माता निर्देशक बन जाएंगे.
That's so beautiful line.
So रूपांतरित हो जाएंगे, परिवर्तन आ जाएगा, वो रूपांतरित हो जाएंगे, उनकी डिजाइन ऐसी होगी जो बिल्कुल चमत्कारी होगी.
Sure. So thank you so much, Dr. Mickey Mehta. Here I would like to request all the budding architects out there and the people those who are going to watch us later. We are not saying that you leave all other physical activities, stop running, stop going to the gym. What we are trying to promote over here is that you adapt yoga also in your daily life, because it does wonders in the long term, not only to your physical body but also to your mental health as well. And yoga also teaches you to go with the flow, to be in the present moment. And like Dr. Mehta rightly mentioned, that we have to practice yoga not only with the flow, but it also makes us more innovative and creative, and change is the only constant thing in life. So to accept life challenges, it is very important for us to adapt yoga in moderation. Maybe you can perform yoga 2 days in a week and 2 days Zumba or gym. That is up to a person's own interest and ability to be doing certain activities. Thank you so much, Dr. Mickey Mehta.
So,
please stay tuned with us for question and answers round.
Yes. So, Preeti ji, I'll just tell all the audience that they can please share my Insta handles, Twitter handles, and Facebook handles. They can write to me. I will respond.
Lovely. That's so kind of you, sir.
To
all the audience, you can follow Dr. Mickey Mehta on Instagram and ask them questions for all the free advices and consultation. Sir would be very happy and glad to be helping all our budding architects for better creation. Now, moving ahead with our next speaker, she is one of a woman of substance. I would like to invite Miss Pavleen Gujral. Miss Pavleen Gujral is an actor, MC, and a nutritionist. Fondly remembered as Pamela from the internationally acclaimed and award-winning film Angry Indian Goddess, Pavleen is also a qualified lawyer and a computer engineer. After being a model in top ramps of a country, she also worked with huge popular band Baja Buffet on the Food Channel. She also went on host numerous shows, and she's also anchored base shows for NDTV, India Express, Tata Sky, and likes. And also went on to host numerous live events also with Times Group, Microsoft, ICICI, Raymond's, and many more. Now, in the new normal, Pavleen continues to host virtual events with the same vigor, and just for brands such as Color, Z, Viacom, and others. And Angry Indian Goddess was a huge success the world over and even amongst the film fraternity. Here, Pavleen's credentials as an anchor were very well established, from appearing on Rajiv Masand's show here to winning international awards at the Toronto International Film Festival. The whole world was basking in the glory of Angry Indian Goddess, including Pavleen. She then went on to part of many prestigious projects that includes the award-winning film Bhor, Dolly Kitty, or Wo Chamakte Sitare by Balaji, Made in Heaven by Excel Entertainment, City of Dreams on Hotstar, and 16 on Sony Live. And her latest offering as a parallel lead in Marzi on Woot Select. She has even numerous short films to her credit, including The Dirty Words on Pocket Films and Stronger Than Fear. And Pavleen is also an environmental activist, and she's actively involved in plastic recycling at a community level and is part of an NGO for sustainable living called Adhyay Foundation. 2020 has been a year of release for Pavleen with two films, namely Dolly Kitty or Wo Chamakte Sitare on Netflix and Bhor, and web series Marzi. So here I would like to welcome Miss Pavleen Gujral. Please welcome on board, Pavleen, and we are very excited since we have been seeing you on television and in movies. So today we get the chance to hear from you about your initiative, which you perform on a daily basis to save the environment, which is a very new side of yours, Pavleen. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Preeti. Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. It's really like a concise of how life's been for the past 10 years. But thank you so much. And thank you to the Prem Jain Memorial Trust for having me on board. Thank you to the Nitya School of Architecture and Planning. Thank you, Dr. Gayatri, for those lovely words, and the fellow panelists. I am an esteemed company with such renowned and established personalities. So thank you, everybody, for having me on board. I'm truly, truly honored.
That's so kind of you, Pavleen. Now to start up with, as we all say that our visual environment and our physical environment affects us directly or indirectly. So would love to know your views about how does our visual environment and physical environment helps us to get better and also drains our energy.
So, you know, I feel like nowadays our whole world, our life has become very visual. It's become very programmed, so to speak. What we see is what we absorb, and the filter that used to be there, that inference that used to be there a couple of years ago, कि जो हम देखते थे उसको पहले हम absorb करते थे, उसके बारे में सोचते थे, फिर उसको believe करते थे. But now I think that link is broken, because now there's so many visual mediums all around that our visual capacity has increased manifold as compared to our mental capacity also at times, which is why it is very important to have a very favorable visual environment. And when I say a favorable visual environment, to me, that comes out to be having a cleaner environment, a more suitable, natural environment. So, you know, there's the Japanese theory of minimalism. Ikigai is also, it's the same thing. It's about wanting less, possessing less. And how that really helps you is not just that it eliminates the clutter in your life, but it also eliminates the clutter in your mind, because the more clutter you see in front of you, the more cluttered your mind gets. And that actually stops you from concentrating on the aspects that need your concentration. Instead, you're concentrating on the clutter that is around. So my point of why I'm stressing on having a clean visual environment in front of you is also refers to having a clean visual natural environment. मतलब कि अगर आप अपने surroundings को clean रखेंगे, अगर आप so to speak अपने nature को clean रखेंगे, not your inner mental self, but your outer physical self also. For instance, of course, do not litter. Recycle your waste, reduce the commodities that you're using, reuse the possessions that you have to the maximum, reduce the number of clothes that you are always willing to buy, and I feel like the catchphrase for us in 2021 should be reduce. I think this year has really taught us to be one with the environment and not to, so to speak, uh, abuse the environment that we have. Mother Nature can only do so much. Mother Nature can't do much. She can only provide. What we can do in turn is to give the same love and care that Mother Nature has given to us. And that's what I do with my life. I am an actor. I am an anchor. Right now also I'm at work, which is why you see a green screen behind me. So all the students out there, this is not my house. My house does not look green because I'm an environmentalist. It's green because there's a green screen. So I'm actually a shoot. But I really wanted to do this webinar for all of you guys. So I somehow arranged this, and or even in costume. So, but this is very appropriate, since I'm such a green crusader. This is just an appropriate background. So all you guys, you are the future of how our environment is going to look like. You're from a school of planning and architecture. You can build environment friendly structures. You have the capacity. It is the future. So I would really request you that you have so much power in your hands that you don't realize. There are 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds, people like Greta Thunberg who are caring about the environment, who are climate activists at such a tender age. If they can realize how we can bring about a change in our world, then so can we. I, as an actor, also do what I can. Like when I go on set, then I always have my bottle with me. I refuse to use plastic bottles. I carry my own food. If there is a plastic bottle that I use, I take it home and I put it in my plastic collection bag. So my talk is mostly an information exchange with all of you, where I tell you how easy it is to be environmental friendly. Because unless we are not environment friendly, it's not going to be there anymore to enjoy. How it does affect your mental health. Like I said, you see clutter, it gets reflected in your head the same way. By clutter, I could also mean extreme amount of possessions, always the hunger of buying new things, not realizing that separation of garbage is truly, truly important. It's the base of that. Substitution is an integral part of substituting plastic with more biodegradable products. So I know that everybody almost really knows what to do, but a lot of us don't do it because we think like, oh my God, it's such a huge change to our life. How can we ab hum iska bhi dhyan rakhe? Ab hame ye bhi sochna padega. But it's honestly really, really easy. And you know, the more you get into the whole groove of it, initially I also be like, I have to carry a bottle with me everywhere. But now it's become second nature. It's so easy. And I can't tell you, I've saved about 100 plastic bottles in the past 1 year. Imagine 100 plastic bottles I have avoided that they should not go to the landfill. Because of one person, me, 100 plastic bottles have not been littered or dumped into the landfill, has not caused more pollution, has not eliminated methane gases that we are inhaling every day that is making us sick. That to some extent has also caused this whole lockdown of the world. So I feel like it's so easy. And I believe that my influence as an actor, whatever little work I've done, I feel like it's relevant work. So I am trying to use that influence in a very positive fashion. So here I'm in a sort of way to persuade all of you to go green, to go environment friendly, not for just your physical well-being, but also for your mental well-being.
Absolutely. Like you rightly mentioned, the Mother Nature gives us everything unconditionally. She has always showered her love. She's given us sun, air, water. And you know what we have done with that air? We've polluted the air, we've polluted the water. And when it comes to sun, we either wear goggles or we have the umbrella with us, you know, to but you know, the honest realization in this pandemic time, this last 8 months of COVID-19 has taught us that less is more. True. Like you rightly mentioned, a very important, a very relevant phrase you used, less is more, because I remember for initial, when a lockdown took place in the end of March, April and May, I was only wearing my night suit because all of us were working from home. You know what I mean?
True.
So then I realized I would only need those 5-10 dresses in my wardrobe, and then I was looking at my almirah. So like you rightly mentioned, reuse, recycle, because there is no end to the materialistic collection.
True.
We can add new jackets, or n number of denims or handbags or whatever, depending on person's liking, but then there is no end to it. But reuse, recycle also contributes saving the environment big time. Now, you have been working on environmental issues a lot, and you have been serving the nation, creating an awareness. And thank you so much for coming to today's platform, because when an actor speaks about such issues, people, of course, they know everything, but they start taking it seriously, because the actors are the those who influence others.
Right.
So, and like you motivated all our young budding architects out here to come out of their comfort zone and start practicing something which is going to save their nature. And because they are into designing and sustainable architecture, so it's very important. And it's, as our topic is also mental and physical health inspired by nature. So it is all connected.
Right.
It is all closely connected. Completely. Now, Bhavleen, how to find your physical quotient wellness connecting to Mother Nature?
So, I would really like to reiterate what Mr. Mickey Mehta said there, that, I am a complete yogini. I also do yoga. And, it's so strange that...
Same with me.
So, I'm not a preacher of... I am a preacher of yoga, but I do understand and respect that everybody...
All please, 1 point contact you have.
Sorry?
But my dear, you should have put it in the note which you sent her earlier. So she didn't answer that.
I can't understand what you're saying.
Oh, Dr. Mickey Mehta, my request, if you could mute yourself. I think he's on a phone call.
Oh, okay. I thought he's talking to me. I was like, oh, I'm interested in this conversation that Mr. Mickey Mehta is talking to me. Okay.
So I'm so sorry. Please.
No, that's all right. So, I would really like to agree with Mr. Mickey Mehta there that almost all the panelists, I'm sure, are if they are into any form of physical exercise, it'll be yoga. So my point here was that everybody has a different equilibrium of their physical quotient. Everybody's body responds very differently to the environment. For somebody, yoga must be the go-to activity, whereas for somebody else it might be kickboxing. For somebody else it might be Pilates. So I think that it's very important to find your physical equilibrium, the physical quotient that gives you that equilibrium in your body, that balance in your body. So how I think how you can connect that with nature is that it is always fruitful to have that balance, not just inside but outside. I feel like it's so difficult to make that equilibrium between your inner self and your outer self. That is, I think, a constant path that we all are trudging upon. How to find that balance? Because something that happens outside of your body affects your inside also, whereas it shouldn't be. You should have that peace and that calmness somewhere inside your body which you can always reach to, so that whatever happens outside doesn't affect you. So that kind of equilibrium, I think we always are in the search of. So like they say that when you meditate also, what meditation really teaches you to find a safe space of peace inside your body. It's to find that space inside your mind where you can always reach to find peace. So you can't find peace outside of yourself. It's within you. You just have to find it. You just have to preserve it, locate it and preserve it. I mean, आधे ज़्यादा लोग की तो जिंदगी निकल जाती है to even locate that peace in your body. It's there, but it's so hard to find.
Absolutely.
And it's easier to go from outside to inside. which is why I said that it's very important to have a cleaner environment so that you find that clean green area inside your mind, inside your body. So I think that is completely up to the person. It's a very individualistic choice, what you choose to do with your body to get that mental peace inside it. So I really wanted to talk about this equilibrium between your inner self and your outer self, because that is something that all of us are really trying hard to do day in, day out. Chahe wo yoga se ho, ya Pilates se ho, ya meditation se ho. That's what we're trying to do. And I feel like like I said, the environment around you plays a huge role in it. And I also wanted to say something before which I didn't. So as architects, I feel like you guys can make a major change when it comes to having a fruitful environment. I mean, so in my house, like my house is getting made, my ancestral house. So we have gotten solar heaters installed, which we were like, okay, we have to do that. We are not going to waste any more electricity. We have a water harvesting plant because, you know, the earth is depleting water and the natural resources are going. So we do that. Then we also have a water filtration system where it collects water into an area, which further gets used around the house. So I feel like your house is such an important part of finding peace in your environment. The structure that you live in resonates such vibes and such that if your house is in conjunction with nature, you are in conjunction with nature. I feel like it's such an important part because I believe in composting, because I reuse the water that I use, because I believe in reduce, reuse, and recycle. I feel like I am in equilibrium with nature that it helps me find that peace inside me. I don't know how it has worked like that, but I feel I have learned in all these years that caring for the environment has somehow taught me to care for myself.
Lovely.
It's somehow resonated within myself in such a way that caring for Mother Nature has taught me to care for me. So I really hope that everybody finds that path of making it work the other way around, that Mother Nature cares for you and you care for yourself, but it's got to be the other way because it just bounces back like a boomerang.
Yeah.
So I think I wanted to just voice that idea that it has worked for me. So I feel like it'll work for everybody, all of you, all the students here, all the budding architects here. You have so much power to make that happen for you and for the people you build these structures for. So utilize that power to the fullest.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Pavleen, for sharing those words of wisdom and inspiring all of us to go close to Mother Nature and preserving the environment. We wish you all the very best for all the releases. As your intro says, that this year is going to be a year of release for you.
Yes.
So if possible, please stay in line with us for question and answer.
I wish to make a line
yes,
too.
Sir.
So, you know, this lady about green environment and green endeavors.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I have a workout program called Your Workout, which is a Go Green workout program. And the supporting tagline for the same is, be lean, don't be mean, plug out from the machine, plug into your heart and go green.
That's lovely. I love that. I'm going to steal that, Mr. Mickey Mehta, if you allow me to.
Welcome.
I will. Thank you so much. That's a lovely line.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody. I'm so sorry I won't be staying long for the rest of this webinar, but it was an absolute pleasure to be here with everybody. Thank you so much, Preeti. Thank you, Sattva Nation, for having me over. I wish all of you a lovely, lovely year ahead, a greener year ahead, and a peaceful year ahead. All right.
Thank you. It was really nice having you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Stephen,
much.
I have to leave. So I have another webinar lined up. Stephen, I'm leaving, guys. Thank you, Ji. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mickey Mehta, for your lovely words on meditation and yoga. I would be taking it forward in all the Q&As on your behalf.
Sattva se tattva. Thank you.
Thank you. So my humble request to all the participants, please do join Sattva Nation on Instagram if you have any further information or queries to raise, and all the questions would be taken up on priority basis to all the speakers. So on Instagram, you can find Sattva Nation, or you can follow and visit our website also, www.sattvanation.com. And we would love to answer all your questions and queries. Now, moving forward towards our speaker on mental health, we have Dr. Vipul Rastogi. Dr. Vipul Rastogi, welcome. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much for taking out time of your hectic schedule. As we all know that doctors are the form of God in today's time. The COVID-19 has taught us that there are physical gods available today in form of doctors. So welcome, sir. Welcome to today's webinar. Dr. Vipul Rastogi is a consultant neuropsychiatrist working at Medanta Hospital, Gurgaon, and at Gurgaon Multi-Speciality Clinic. Dr. Vipul did MBBS in India and then did further training in UK. After working in England for 12 years, he returned back to India and has been practicing in Gurgaon since then. Dr. Rastogi has interest in treating both neurology and psychiatric patients, and does a lot of sessions on preventive mental health. Dr. Rastogi is also a TEDx speaker and a regular contributor to online and print media on all the matters related to mental health. So Dr. Rastogi is going to share his words today on anxiety and stress, which is very much there in everybody's life, and in abundance, especially in such challenging times like COVID-19, where all of us are caged in the house. We have our stress issues, and we are not able to handle our own emotions. So Dr. Rastogi, kindly help us understand how to handle our own negative emotions, our anxiety and stress issues.
So thank you very much, Preeti, for having me. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
And I'd also like to thank the NITT Premjal Memorial Trust for having me there. And my hello to all the esteemed panelists which are there. And I'm really actually pleased to be here because everybody's talking about equilibrium, balance, and that's what I am here to talk about, but from a little different angle compared to the rest of our panelists. So I was hoping to have a little small presentation, and that we can of course share some questions. So can I be allowed to share my screen?
Yeah.
Yes,
please go ahead. Please go.
Okay. Can I be seen? Can the screen be seen?
No, just your name is there.
Yeah, but you have a. Can you see the first slide? No?
No.
No, okay. So,
Yatinderji, can we share the presentation here?
Okay.
it's not allowing me to.
Please try.
It's not allowing me to.
Yeah, it's
share.
there, sir. You can go ahead now.
Okay,
Yes, sir,
thank
we
you.
can
is
see.
there.
Yeah, it's there.
Okay.
I'm controlling it, no problem.
Okay, so can we just start this slideshow? Can we go back? Can we just go? Right. Okay, so right, so we're going to talk about something very relevant and pertinent to the current situation. So anxiety, stress, and sleep. And I specifically added sleep here because I see a lot of young people, and sleep has become such a major issue, and everybody is struggling with it. So I thought I'll include this and give a little bit tips about a good sleep. So you can have the next slide, please. Yeah, so everybody has been talking about stress. Now, what is stress? Now, stress, if we look at from the physics side, stress is the force acting on a unit area of a material. Effect of stress on a body is named as strain. So as architects who are listening to this, I mean, they're very well aware of physics and dynamics, and I recently, the place where I live experienced an earthquake, and I'm guessing that is a stress for the building. So to manage that stress, you would normally put some releases in it. And that is what we're going to talk about in the next few minutes. If you talk about stress from a psychology point of view, stress is feeling of emotional strain and pressure. And if I look at it from an engineering definition, applied force or system of forces that tend to deform the body. In simple terms, stress is anything that stops you from giving your 100%. So anything that stops you from doing your best is stress. Next slide, please. Now we're going on a stress cycle, and everybody's talked about balance and equilibrium. I'm going to put it in a slightly different way. So we're going to talk about balance of life. So if you could just move ahead. Right, so on one side of the scale, right, so I've got a simple weighing balance, tarazu, whatever you wish to call it. On one end of the scale, we're going to put the stressors of our life. And to equate it, we need to put something which is equal and opposite on the other end. And opposite of stress is relaxation. So stress on one side, which has to be equated with relaxation on the other side. Now, when we talk about stress, there are a lot of people who say that, look, I'm not under any stress. And there are other people who say that I'm under too much stress. So, and there are other people who would say that his stress is nothing. So stress is very, very personal. So a similar issue might affect one person more than it affects the other person. So stress is very personal, stress is very subjective, and it could be coming from any part of your life. So it could be secondary to your personal life issues, professional, academics, difficulties or challenges within family or with friends, academics, health, finance, society. Stress can be coming from any angle in your life. It is important to remember that there is nobody with no stress. Right? People say, I have a lot of stress, but everybody has stress. There are some people who are just better at managing it. We'll move to the next slide, please. Are all stress bad? Not at all. There are good stressors and bad stressors. The good stressors are having a child in your family, a marriage, a new job. These cause us excitement, right? So there's a nervous energy that goes with these. So these are good stressors. But then you also have bad stressors, which are like loss of job, health concerns, illness in the family. And you know, with COVID, these bad stresses have gone up quite a bit because of uncertainty in our lives. All right, so what happens is that as we go along in our life, the stressors keep on building up. Whether, as we said, whether it goes for personal life, academics, family, health. Can we just move it a bit ahead? Yeah, so the stressors are getting heavier, but on the other side, instead of increasing the relaxation is actually reducing. So we would normally tell ourselves, I don't have time, I can't do it, I don't have the energy, this is not my priority. So what we are doing is we are doing a double whammy thing on ourselves. So stresses are going up, but the relaxation is actually reducing as we're going along. To get it back in shape, there are only two ways. So for any tarazu, if you want to balance it again, there's only two ways to do it. One, we start reducing the stressors on our side, or two, we start increasing the relaxation that we undertake. Now, what normally happens is there are some stressors which are in our control. There are some stressors which are not in our control. There's some stressors that we understand. There's some stressors that we don't even understand. So if you're not able to do much on the stress side, then we have to focus more on the relaxation side to feel better. And as Mr. Mehta was saying, Dr. Mehta was saying, right, we have to try and focus on the good things in our life. So this is what we are looking for. We are looking for a state of being in balance. So the stressors, whether they are good, bad, they have to be in equal shape with the relaxation on the other side. So rest, recovery, rejuvenation, relaxation, all have to be in an equilibrium. Next slide, please. Now, what happens to us when we are stressed? We can talk about in terms of physical stressors or physical changes in ourselves or the psychological changes in ourselves. When we talk about physical changes in our body, so when we are stressed out, some stress hormones are released in the body which help us in managing those difficult times. There is poor metabolism of sugar. There's higher risk if in the long term the stress continues of heart disease, diabetes, increased headaches, disturbed sleep. Of course, digestion goes for a toss. I mean, these are not comprehensive lists, but just an idea of stress can affect any and every part of the body. What for the psychological side? So feeling of tiredness, people look towards substance abuse, more chance of accidents, irritability, anxiety, depression, poor work and study output, all of those things are possible. Then we have to talk about coping mechanisms. So as I was saying, if we have to balance the stressors with the relaxation that we undertake, and whatever those relaxation activities that we undertake to compensate, so these are called the coping mechanisms. Now each one of us has different coping mechanisms. Somebody will go for a run, somebody might meditate, somebody will take towards yoga, somebody might dance, learn music, right? So all those are good coping mechanisms. But there are also bad coping mechanisms. So bad coping mechanisms are, let's take for example, smoking or alcohol. So people who use this as a coping mechanism would normally say, look, I feel relaxed after taking it, takes away the pressure at the end of the day. Now, these are not relaxation agents actually. So they cause numbness and they cause distraction for a while. For a bit, you may feel okay, but for the rest of the time, they actually come and sit on the other side, which is the stress side, because they have a health cause, there's a health impact of these things. The family is not happy, there's a financial strain, anyway, they're depressants, they cause more anxiety, disturb sleep. So these things are not called coping, but they're called mal-coping. Similarly, comfort eating, comfort shopping, could just go back here. Comfort eating, comfort shopping, lack of exercise, watching TV all day will make you also dull, spending too much time on social media. In fact, in things like, anger will also go here, because for that moment it takes away the pressure, but then you're filled with guilt, self-harm that people do. All those will be part of a bad coping or mal-coping mechanisms. Now, what is the impact on an adult when they are stressed out? So there's a financial loss, right? Their uncertainty goes. So the causes of stress at the present moment, when we just look at the COVID part of it, so the stressors have gone up significantly. There's a financial loss, whether people are in a job or they have their own business. The money is not coming in as it used to. There's uncertainty about health, work, child's education. There's so many people coming to us and saying, well, they can't afford their child's education. Their plans have gone for a toss. They're all stuck at home. Now, if you look at so these are the stressors that have gone up. But let's look at the relaxation activities that have disappeared. There's no personal time. Everybody is cooped up at home. And when I talk about personal time, I'm talking about people.
You can't hear.
I'm also unable to. Dr. Vipul, we can't hear you.
Vipulji, are you there?
Dr. Vipul? I think there's some technical issue. Dr. Vipul, could you please check your internet connection if you can hear us? Yeah. I think he's connecting to the audio again.
Right.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you now.
We just lost power. Sorry. Yeah. So I was talking about, the relaxation activities that have got reduced. So, previously, if you were stressed out, you might go and speak to a friend, you might meet a friend, go out for a movie or go out for dinner. But, you can't do all that now. So this has all been building up. Move to the next slide, please. So next is, how has the COVID-19 or the current situation impacted on children? So the challenges that we are seeing now, they can't go to school, they can't meet their friends, they can't play outdoors, parents are more irritable in the household, there is increased screen time, there is difficulty in understanding concepts of the school, the exams are still happening. right? Although the children are not able to understand the concepts very well because, you know, that personal touch is no longer there. And how does it show in children? So the children are much more irritable. They have a lack of sleep, laziness, distraction, and a lot of irritability. Now, what are the impacts on elderly? So if we look at people who are retired, so they used to have a social life. They didn't go to work, but they did have a social life. They would go out for a walk. So now they're locked indoors. They can't walk. The personal space is gone. There's negativity all around, and there's a lot of fear about their health. The impact is they're bored, they're apprehensive, poor sleep, depressed, irritable, and there's a lot of mental dullness that we're seeing in elderly population. So that was about stress and you know, how it is impacting people. I just want to take a minute to talk about sleep. Now, what we see normally is that the stress that the person is under impacts the sleep, and it is the other way around is true also. If poor sleep will also cause stress. What comes first, we can't say, but we just know that stress and sleep are very, very closely knit together.
Sure.
So for a sleep principle, we normally talk about for each one of us, if you want to sleep well, the body needs to be tired and the mind needs to be relaxed. But unfortunately, at the current moment or at the current time, the body has become relaxed because not much activity is happening, but the mind is tired because of so many things that are going on, whether it is uncertainty or you know, academic pressures, whatever it is. So we are not sleeping very well. And if we are not sleeping very well, the body does not get time to heal, rejuvenate, or even consolidate the information that we have learned. And the lack of sleep also causes challenges around, you know, mental health, anxiety, depression. So having a good sleep and a good routine are extremely important. Yeah, move please. So a general advice to all of you. So maintain some sort of routine through the day. Be mindful. Stress is affecting everyone currently. We sometimes ignore the stressors that everybody else is also experiencing around us, whether it is our parents or teachers. Definitely have some sort of physical activity in the day, whether you know it's yoga or a sport, but definitely do something for yourself. Avoid too much of television and social media and computer use. Avoid using alcohol, smoking as a way of managing stress. And instead of trying to tackle everything together, try and sort them out one by one. I think it makes life much, much, much easier. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vipul, for sharing such a crisp and so relevant PowerPoint presentation, which makes us understand the basic anxiety and stress issues what we face on a regular basis. Now, Dr. Vipul, I want to ask you, when we have these panic attacks, you know, something coming up all of a sudden, so we get panicking, we get this severe headache, and then we pop in a painkiller immediately for that immediate relief. Is there a mechanism which can help us understand our emotions better and without any help of medicines? You know, I'm not against medicines, but I'm saying that why to go for taking a tablet when you have some easy breathing exercises available, or to relax your anxiety and stress issues? So could you please put some light on this?
Yeah, so I think that's very fair. Now, what generally happens is anxiety or extreme anxiety is called panic. It's defined by the 3 F. So it is the fight, flight, or fright reaction of the body. So when we are in a difficult situation, the body prepares itself with, by, tightening of the muscles, the heartbeat goes up, right? So it helps to fight those challenges. All that I've talked about just now in the presentation is all about preventive stuff. So what to do to not land up in such a situation. But sometimes we do. And what needs to happen is we talk about, some distraction techniques. So what we're talking about, distraction and relaxation techniques. So they should be the number one thing that people do. Now, what happens is if I tell somebody who's actually going through a panic attack to say, okay, look, first breathe, first breathe, first breathe, it is not going to be possible because it is not part of their normal routine. But if they've been pursuing those techniques every day, so then it will come naturally. They will be able to use it much more in a difficult situation. It is next to impossible to use a new thing in a troubled time. But
Absolutely.
if you have enough practice of it, then yes, it should be the first thing that they should do. Now, as you know, in fact, even in the earlier discussions, the idea was that people feel that how can I do this, or how will it work, or how does it help me? But it all comes with practice, and the all these mechanisms need to be instilled when children are younger, because it is very hard to start doing things differently as you grow older. So if in schools or colleges these sorts of practices or classes are started, then they go a long way in developing these techniques and methods for future.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Dr. Vipul, for your very informative words and the PPT you shared. I would request if you could share the same with me. I would like to share with the college, and all the students those who are watching and going to watch us later can get the benefit out of the information which you shared today. And as at the beginning of your introduction, I mentioned that doctors have become the form of a god today. So you are a god who is not only helping people to come out of this miserable mental state. Also, psychiatrist is somebody who is so much relevant in today's time, whether it's young adults, whether it's mid-agers or the old age. Everyone is battling with their one or the other mental issues. So thank you so much. It was great having you, sir. And we would be sharing questions, whatever we receive from the college students, and we would request you if you could answer those questions whenever you get time.
Thank you.
It was nice having you here. So thank you so much. Now moving forward with the another speaker of ours, very dynamic and very informative, Anil Khandelwalji. Anil Khandelwalji is also on the board of Sattva Nation. He's been helping us to create awareness on preventive healthcare. And Anil Khandelwalji is the founder of Yogic Secrets Healthcare. He represents as India partner for Voliton Global, Turkey, working in the health and technology domain. He has an experience of more than 34 years and traveled across the world extensively while working in large MNCs, namely Ranbaxy, GlaxoSmithKline, and ArcelorMittal, LT Foods, and Havel Sylvania. Anil Khandelwalji is a qualified fellow member of Institute of Chartered Accountant of India and associate member of Certified Internal Auditors and Institute of Internal Auditors International. He has handled various assignments covering business strategy, financial management, corporate governance, PLN responsibilities. He is also affiliated to several professional, industry, and social forums, and have been actively participating as a speaker at national and international symposium, creating an awareness about preventive healthcare. All of us know that our physical well-being is very important, but at the same time, what Anil Khandelwalji shares with us is prevention is the cure. That's the slogan I have been hearing a lot from him, that prevention is the cure. And Anilji also speaks a lot about the body mechanism, like the nutrition, and our kitchen is our medicine box. Everything is available in the kitchen. If we start consuming the components which is easily available in the kitchen, we can also take care of our health in a better manner. So welcome, Anil Khandelwalji. Thank you so much for having a patient time. You have been listening to all the panel speakers, and we are glad that now you are going to share very much relevant information on how our body cure itself, how body is its own doctor, and prevention is cure. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Preeti. and thank you, Premchand Memorial. It's really a pleasure talking to students in particular. And I'm sure students must be enjoying learning from the learned speakers. Uh, very valuable messages, teachings. They're coming on the way. My profession, as PD said, that I'm a chartered accountant by qualification, but somehow my interest has been into health and wellness from early stages of my life, and that's what I enjoy. And finally, I decided that having done whatever in the finance field, let me switch into health and wellness. Uh, and then if I just talk a little about me, why I get into this and I talk about this because I'm practicing myself. That's very important. Experience is everything. And therefore, to just reflect about me, Preeti knows, shared with that, I'm a person who is an early riser. I gets up in the morning at 3:30, 4 o'clock. And then I'm a routine of doing meditation, right? Regular meditation, and then going for my walk, yoga, start my day by 8:39, winds up by 6, 6:30, and then, sleep by 9:30, 10, right? So during that entire journey of day's journey, I call it that when I wake up in the morning, it's another day to celebrate, right? Because when we are sleeping, we do not know, who we are, what we are, whether we are lying on the bed, we have two legs, many, many things we do not know when we sleep. But when we wake up in the morning, right, some energy, some cosmic energy wakes us up, and then we find ourselves back to a new level of energy. Point I'm trying to say that, as Dr. Miki also said before, that we are nothing but a piece of planet. Very important to understand that fact. Like, we are 70%, 72% water inside, and so is this earth is having 70% water. And the rest of the things we talked about, that's 12% of earth, 6% of fire, everything is there. Now, I'm just trying to slightly, talk about that during that 2 months lockdown period, I'm sure everyone must have visualized that the beauty of the nature was at peak. It was unbelievable. We could see the blue sky. We could see from a long distance, the birds flying. We could see even in Jalandhar or somewhere, some pictures were sent, one could see the Himalayas also. Imagine. And we could see, this animals coming on the road, right? Everything was super beautiful. And on the other hand, we human beings were caged inside. We were caged like animals are caged. Now, why it all happened? We all know that Corona is something which caused all these things to happen. But it's time to reflect and not just getting into the similar mistakes once again. That who we are, what is the purpose, what are we doing? All these things, they lead to a very basic fundamental questions of physical and mental wellness, right? Now, as a student, what you are doing, pursuing, I'm sure you are looking at brightening your future. Definitely, you must. But important equally is that you must reconcile, or rather enhance, your capabilities around physical and mental wellness. Whenever we're talking very seriously, right? And rather, I would say that there should be good humor, there should be good laughter therapy, because the point is that we should not create a monotonous way of whether it is my yoga exercise or my running or walking or studying or doing whatever activity. Life should be fun. Life should not be serious, and that's the only way. What Dr. Vipul was talking about, that body today is relaxed and mind is tired. I mean, I think it's time to reflect and see that, how we can ensure that the balance is there between physical and mental wellness, right? Now, I would like to just highlight something very interesting to you. And I believe that we all know that this life, what we have, is a precious gift to us. And the human body is so unique that there cannot be and can never be such a complex machinery working day night flawlessly, right? And it is our mind, soul, which are key drivers of this precious life journey, which is driving to either meaningful journey or could lead to disrupting our quality of life, irrespective of age. One more fact, which I was reading a very interesting book authored by Andreas Moritz. It's a Secrets of Health and Rejuvenation, a wonderful book. You can imagine the human body is made of 37 trillion cells, and it performs a multitude of tasks with astonishing strength and precision. And the examples are innumerable. You will be surprised to know that the eyes can distinguish 10 million colors. Also, you will be surprised to know that the thigh bone can withstand 6,000 pounds of compressive force, and the heart, most important organ of the body, has the power to pump 2,000 gallons of blood each day. And sometimes it is against the pull of gravity. And it does day in, day out, decade after decade. Imagine what a beautiful gift we have with us. And therefore, when we talk on a subject like physical and mental wellness, how important it is to maintain this precious gift in the most beautiful manner. Well, I can keep talking about it. The point which I'm trying to say that we need to create a good equilibrium between what our Dr. Vipul was talking about, that good food, good exercise, and good sleep. Combining these three things will create a true leader in you, right? Leadership is nothing that, you can speak certain good jargons and all that. First of all, most important is who you are, what your physical preparedness is, what your mental preparedness is, your agility, your smartness, when you should be walk the talk. There are many, many things which you will learn and you will be learning. And, I must tell you, you are very fortunate having such lovely speakers today that you must be getting a lot of interesting stuff around this. And you should rather look at more and more opportunities like this, right? Because you're having a vibrancy of your life. You have got to learn a lot, and therefore you must find opportunities like this to deal with. And another thing which I would like to say that, try and make sure that these 5 indriyas, this eyes, ears, what you are absorbing, everything, when you see the television, when you see the social media, when you hear something, you must learn to filter what you are absorbing. Very important. As an example, the other day I was talking that when you watch television and when you see the news, as an example, I think what you listen most of the time, negative news, right? You are not supposed to absorb that, right? I think if you see the Discovery Channel as an example, or if you see some other knowledge related, channels, and similarly, when it comes to the electronic media, I mean, the gadgets, what we hold like mobile phone, it's very, very important for you guys to be very sensitive about it. The filtration is very, very important. Otherwise, what happens that they are day in, day out impacting somewhere on your physical and mental wellness. Trust me, this is something which, we were lucky enough that during our early days of life, when I was young, we didn't have any mobile phone. Rather, even if we have to make a call, you got to do a trunk dialing and things like that. Yes. There were many things which were there and the life was so beautiful. But today, we are talking of stress. I mean, these subjects were not there before. We are talking of tension. It was not the subject before. We are eating junk food. It was never the case. We were eating home food, right?
Absolutely.
So I think somewhere we have missed out, those valuable things. And we call ourselves, we are living in a developed economy, or this is development. I'm sorry to say that. I mean, after all, I have also spent my time working for large multinational companies, both in India and overseas. And I have seen, never to forget the basics, right? the basics are so critical and so important that those are the only thing which will, in a holistic way, bring in, the connectivity with the nature. And it is only when you, like for instance, when you are in the park, or when you are at the mountain, and when you are near the sea, or you are, touch the flower, touch the tree, just see the waves. Believe me, the amount of pleasure, the amount of energy, what you absorb is something you got to develop in yourself continuously. Not to forget that, right? I stay in Gurgaon, and honestly speaking, I see a lot of concrete jungle which has come up, right? The air quality has gone down. The food what we eat is having a lot of contaminants, right? And the relationship has become sore. We get angry very fast. There are many, many things. We have to look at all these things very seriously, right? This is the time when we have to reflect back and see that when we are, coming up of our age and a lot of things to be performed, to be a responsible citizen of the country, a responsible member of the family, it's very important to pay attention to these things very, very seriously. In fact, there is a lot to say about it, but since I know it's already 4:36, it was supposed to be 3 to 4, I would be more than happy if there are questions, and I think we can discuss in detail. But again, my message is that we got to be sensitive about our surroundings, about our environment, about what we eat, because what we eat, we become. I mean, it's a simple fundamental thing, right? Today in early stages, as I see, and Dr. Vipul will acknowledge that, early stages of diabetes, cardiac, joint health, right? The poor gut health, and I pay a lot of attention to the gut health because, what we're eating and even what we absorb also impacts on our gut. I don't want to go into technical dimensions of it, but eventually it is the gut and brain. They have very, clear linkages. If your stomach is not good, you're not happy, right? And
Absolutely.
therefore, and if you are not having a good sleep, if you don't have a good sleep, obviously the day is going to be, very lethargy. You will not be able to get that kind of productivity what you would be looking for. So likewise, we keep talking about it, and but as I said before, this body what we have been given is so precious, right? And we must ensure that we maintain it with respect, right? We should pray, that this is a beautiful gift what we have got from our parents, right? And we should rather become an inspiration for others. Each of us.
Absolutely.
Not that, it is one or two, or me talking, or Dr. Miki talking, or Dr. Vipul talking. We all should be driving this journey together. And again, I would like to conclude by simply saying that let us, literally understand the meaning, the definition of what physical and mental aspect of the wellness, which is there within you, not that something has to be taught. When you were born, you were disease-free, believe me. And as we are, getting on to the age, right, not many diseases, they creep in. From where are they coming? After all, we ourselves are responsible. And therefore, we need to reflect back to arrest it, to hold it, to reverse it. And there are simple ways, not very complicated. I mean, I give you one simple thing, and then I'll close my discussion. When it comes to meditation, which I call meditation is the real medication, right? And how to do meditation, which I was talking the other day also, it's the simplest thing. Kuch mat kariye, subah jab uthte hain meditation ke liye, either of three things you pick up. And believe me, if you do for 15 minutes to begin with, or if you do, more, you will see a transformation happening in your, human body. And the one simple technique is that breathing in, breathing out. Just watch, just observe. You are breathing in and breathing out. See, this entire nervous system in the brain, will be more active, right? Any inflammatory conditions, inflammation, I'm sure you would know, it calms down, right? When you are just observing. And the second, if you suppose want to figure out another choice, what you can simply do is just sync yourself to some good instrumental music. Believe me, I mean, I listened to one, flute which was played at mountains, and imagine, you can visualize the serenity. You're in the lap of the nature, the beautiful mountain, the birds are chirping, and then there is a flute which is playing, right? And the third, which I would like to say, simply do chanting, right? And when you chant, then your entire body is, syncing with the chanting. So these are very simple things. You start your day not with opening the WhatsApp messages which came, right, overnight. Forget, just shut it down. Just observe yourself how you are going to start your day. And trust me, that very day, you will find a very effective day, a very powerful day. In the night when you sleep, for at least an hour before, shut down your mobile phone, please. And you will see that you will have a fabulous, fantastic sleep, right? When you are eating food, don't keep your mobile phone next to you. Again, your attention will be more towards that. Whereas the food is a medicine before medicine becomes a food, right? So these are something which does not require a lot of discussion, but it is more practice, more execution. And the more you execute, you yourself will find that, yes, my level of contribution in any sphere will be far, far productive. I just stop here. I thought that perhaps this piece of information will be quite helpful to you. Thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anil Khandelwalji, for such an lovely information shared. And I like to repeat what you said over here. You started with prevention is cure. If we start taking the consumption of our food seriously, we can enjoy all the dishes what we love in the long run. So prevention is cure, taking care of our body. Secondly, you emphasize that food is medicine, and we have to be very careful that medicine should not become our food. So we should consume our food as it is a medicine for us. And you have been promoting all the kitchen remedies. Since I wanted you to talk about those kitchen miracles also, I would quickly like to throw some light over there, that in our kitchen we have turmeric, long, we have all these Indian great spices available. If we start consuming this basil, the dalchini, cinnamon powder, tulsi, long, elaichi, soft. Dr. Anil Khandelwal always promotes the kitchen masalas. These are the ultimate medicines for us. So if we in a Western culture nowadays, they are promoting golden latte, which is haldi wala doodh, which we Indians have been having for ages now. The Americans are promoting it as a
Yeah, no, sure, Preeti. In fact, I thought that I'll not touch on those, but
yeah.
This is again very important. This is something which would like to promote to convert kitchen into clinic. There is no need to rush to OPDs, because when any patient go there, and Dr. Vipul would agree, person come back with 1 or 2 infection, irrespective, what the best hygiene standards in the hospitals are. But I think many of the daily routine problems, which can be definitely tackled from a clinic called kitchen, or whatever name we can assign. As currently, Dr. Vipul, what we are trying to build on is you can visit our website. Though again, you will wonder that a chartered accountant getting into that space, but I believe this is not something which one cannot. All the active molecules, or bioactives which are there in our ancient, the spices or herbs and all that, they're extremely powerful. And just to mention that many of the COVID patients, right? And again, I don't want to claim anything, but I strongly would say that they found very, very effective, right? I'm not talking about getting positive to negative, but very simple thing is that, as an example, that Boswellia serrata, I'm sure it's called Google also, which is used in the Havan also. So there is an active molecule within that, which is extremely good for the respiratory health, as an example. So likewise, turmeric, which Preeti was talking about, there's an active component called curcumin. Curcumin is now being widely used in America, in Europe, in Japan, etc. Likewise, there are moringa, which actually is Indian produced and becoming a global product. right?
Yes.
And same is Indian gooseberry, which is called amla, as an example, extremely rich in vitamin C. So the idea is that if we can, bring back that wisdom, right, and combine all these things into our therapeutic, management of disease, whether it is for the preventive healthcare and extremely good for the reversal of chronic diseases also. And I would like to say something, that now today the whole world is moving towards integrative medicine system.
Sure.
And that's where I think these things will find, and India will become a very important destination for all these things. Sorry, Preeti, please.
Sure. So to all the attendees and the panelists, thank you so much for today's session and taking out time. Thank you so much, Anil sir. Yogic Secrets provides a preventive healthcare and also makes the products which helps us to get strengthen our immunity system. So please do visit Yogic Secret website, and you can order all the products easily online as well to get the benefit from directly from the Mother Nature. So my humble request to all the attendees out here, I'm sorry we have to skip question answer round. You can write to us. You can contact us on Instagram page of Sattva Nation and Premchand Memorial Trust, and we would be really eager and happy to answer all your queries. So again, my heartiest congratulations and thank you to Nite School of Architecture and to all the panelists. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Gayatri.
Thank you, Preeti.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
you,
Payal
Preeti.
Jain ji. Thank you, Payal Jain ji, for taking this initiative.